I hate hearing people write teams off. It happens all the time, and Australia are definitely going one way.
I remember Faletau spear tackling Sinks one day.
I actually played against the Lions in New Zealand for the Māori All Blacks.
He got to like Vunapone, I was like, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
Done. And then I kind of remembered the W's after being, and I was like.
Hamish, 2021 you were selected for the Lions. Where were you? What were you doing? How did you feel? There's rumours going around you don't find out until you see yourself on the TV. So,
yeah, it's always one of the questions the fans ask. They're always, "Oh, do you want to only find out at the same time as us?" And yeah, the honest answer is, I was sat on my sofa at the same time everyone else was watching the announcement. I think the only people who find out before is the captain, who has to go to the press conference. So I was on the sofa with my family watching it, which was quite a nerve-wracking experience. I remember them, reading out all the names, and you're sort of thinking, Jesus, there's quite a long list, and you're trying to work out sort of how many back rowers have been before you. You've lost count. You're like, Jesus, it seems like a lot of back rowers have been then.
Because it goes in alphabetical order,
then it goes in alphabetical order. So I'm W.
Watson.
And I think it got to like Vunapone. I was like, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
And then I kind of remembered the W's after being, and I was like, yes, I'm going damn it. And then they called Watson, and it was it's an amazing moment. It's I think I've spoken about it before. It's one of those things that probably growing up, it was something I never really wanted to do. I wanted to always play for Scotland, but then you don't think about, or you don't believe how big it is until you're in the running for it, or you hear whispers that you've got a chance to go on a Lions tour, and then you start, just believing in it, and you realise how big actually a Lions tour is to go on. So it was an amazing moment, and I think finding out it's one of the best moments of my rugby career. It's definitely up there. It's it was just a pretty magical moment to share with my wife at that moment. And then also the thing with that, you get I remember one of my mates sent in a video, and one of my other friends was filming him. And to see, I sometimes get more joy at that. You see the way your friends react.
Friends and family.
You never realise how much it means to everyone who's helped you go on that journey. These are guys I played with when I was 13, 14 years old.
But
they're like part of your journey, and they love it, and that makes it even more special.
That's good to hear. You're supposed to say one of your best moments is your child's birth or a wedding and stuff.
I said rugby moments.
Yeah, rugby.
No, don't try and stitch me up like that. I said that was one of my proudest rugby moments.
Sorry. Okay. You played the
Obviously
game before.
my wedding and the birth of my kids.
Yeah.
And my stag do.
The Lions tour is a unique experience. What's the best memory from being in that environment? Aside from rugby, not the rugby side. You were together in a hotel, locked in a room
obviously,
for a while. But
as everyone knows, it was sort of it was the COVID tour, so they still tried to make it as enjoyable and sort of that old school Lions vibe as possible. Obviously, it was very different because we couldn't go out and have the big socials and the big midweekers, and after you hear stories of after the first test that they got to go on a few big nights out and stuff like that. But to be fair to everyone who organised it, they still made it feel very special. I think for me, on my first Lions tour, I still loved every minute of it. I think for boys who had been on 2 previous tours, they were probably a bit like, this is a bit rubbish being stuck in the hotel.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those things. I think my best moment was actually after the games, we still went up to the hotel bar. You drank with all your teammates, a few little scraps, shared stories, a few little things like that. And I think it actually almost in a way, it bonds you more because it's like you go to a nightclub and you can sometimes go off in your little cliques and stuff like that.
Talk and
so it was one of those ones actually. You kind of actually got to know people better because you spent more time actually just up in the bar and chatting.
There's nothing like a couple of beers
and
can
stuff
do
like that.
for the boys.
Exactly.
People who throughout the year, the whole Six Nations, you actually hate each other, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you're all put together in a room with a few beers, and you find out how similar you all actually are.
Well, that's the thing. Rugby players are all pretty simple people, simple beasts, and we're all quite similar.
Yeah.
I probably just going back to that though. We went to this winery. Which was quite good fun. It was obviously just the Lions there because obviously COVID, and I remember Faletau spear tackling Sinks one day, and
Whose
that
fault?
was Well, I don't know if you know Toby, but Toby had a few, 1 or 2 beers, and Sinks had also had a few, and out of nowhere, just spear tackles Sinks. Sinks is on the ground, like hurled up in the ball, and it was out of nowhere as well.
Better work stories, everybody. Better work stories. Who was the biggest character in the Lions tour, and why? I've got my own. I wasn't there, but I know a very, very big character, and I'm hoping you're going to say him because we can mug him off.
I'll go with mine, and I'll jump in. Probably, I think some of the guys who had been on previous tours, they sort of knew how it was run. Mako was a fines master, so he had to take a position of authority. And he was quite good. I think he had Bundy as his little sheriff or something as well. He tried to enforce the law on people. So some people fell out with Bundy at times, and he was trying to fine them for 200 or something quid.
Yeah, I heard stories about Bundy. He took over as PS4 or PS5, and they were playing FIFA, and he'd only be PSG. That's when they had some pretty high-profile players, but he made PSG a lot better than what they actually were. He was playing people for money. He was literally stealing money because he would only be PSG and would put $100 on the line, knowing he's winning the game no matter what.
To be fair, I think I was saying to you, I think I did hear rumours.
Yes.
I heard rumours of Bundy editing teams. He's banging in goals from like the halfway line.
Yeah, and then he had a few too many beers and had to pay everyone their money back. He told them what had happened. Yeah, that's the Bundy we know. I don't know, did you find playing with people from other countries in the way that they operated throughout a week, was that different? Did you learn from that experience? I know, obviously, I've played with Jack Conan. I know how he goes from week to week. Do you find having him at 8 was different to other 8s that you'd had or other 6s? You Courtney Laws? Was that 6 as well? 6. Freak. Athlete.
Yeah, ridiculous athlete. I think that's the thing for me. I've always played at Edinburgh my whole professional career, so I've never really experienced playing with some of those other players. So I think the experience of that, you're playing with the best players in Britain and Ireland. So to experience that, it's as if you're going to another club, but a club full of the superstars, the X Factor players at the time. So for me, that was a really special thing, being able to play with these players who you would never have thought you'd play with or get the chance to play with. Like you were saying on the way people play and catching up with them, and you mentioned earlier, you go in with these preconceptions of what you'd think of someone when you sometimes play Scotland against England and someone's pushing your head into the ground. You're like, that guy's an absolute, and then you actually meet him and you find out he's a decent guy, and you're all there.
It breaks your heart.
Oh, it does sometimes. But you want to hate him. But it's funny. So you go into those situations and you're all working towards a common goal, and I think it definitely makes you a better rugby player. I think the thing for me as well is just again we said for our own personal stuff, you try and keep it as similar as you would for an international or a club week. But I think the way everyone trains, I've said it was the most professional tour I've ever been on, where everything's done for you. Like when as soon as you get on the training paddock, you can see it's a step up. These leaders who you see on TV leading, but they actually do it on the training field as well. But then off the field, it was funny when you're in the midweek team, you're having a few beers on a Wednesday night and you've got another match on a Saturday. So it's one of those things, the most professional thing I've ever done in my life, but then also at times one of the most unprofessional, most fun things I've done. So so it was an awesome experience.
What's your advice for future Lions who have yet to experience it?
Are you trying to get some inside info?
I didn't write these questions.
I think for future Lions, just enjoy it. It's like anything in life. You're never expecting to probably go on one, and then before you know it, it's over and it's gone, and it seems like a while ago now for me. So I think just enjoy every minute of it. Like we were saying earlier, learn off people who you've probably never played with before, whether that's in the same position, different positions. Enjoy that Lions vibe of everyone just coming together for once every 4 years. So I'll just enjoy every minute, because before you know it'll be gone, and hopefully the Lions manage to win the series this time, which would be massive for them. What would it mean to you to get that call? Or when you're watching it, what would it mean?
going to do my best between now and then to put myself in a position of selection, as I'm sure everyone else is. Six Nations was good to me. Currently with Leinster, we've got a good roll up for the next 8 weeks. Fingers crossed, all things going well and keeping my body right. I don't know what day it is that it does get announced, but I genuinely don't know if I'll be able to watch it. I'm not a nervous person, but I'd rather, I don't know, man. I don't know how you sat there with
Rather
your
get
wife.
loads of messages pinged through on your phone.
Yeah. Oh, you're an idiot.
Hopefully good news.
Yeah, hopefully good news. Yeah. Oh, hard. Yeah. Getting a phone call from Andy. Sorry, mate, you're not picked. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But no, it's obviously I actually played against the Lions in New Zealand for the Māori All Blacks in 2017. And when I think about back to the team, I had Tawera Kurbalo passing me the ball, and Rico Ioane on a wing, Liam Messam at 8, and then on the other side it was Sexto receiving the ball from Murray, and at the time I didn't realise how much it meant to them to actually play for the Lions, and now to be on the other side, blimmin', what's that, 9 years later, with potentially the opportunity to go on one, I would be extremely privileged and ecstatic if it did come. If I get a phone call saying I'm not, and life it throws you lemons every now and then, you just got to figure it out. So fingers crossed, man.
And you spoke about a few of your Irish teammates there you've now gone on to play with. Have you ever spoken to them about Lions experiences? I know we touched on Bundy earlier. Like, have they talked to you about the Lions much? Or
Nah, it's like, I'm not going to say it's like a taboo thing to talk about, but it's in the back of everyone's head, and after games, and if you're sitting down having a few beers and you're looking across at other nations and who's playing well in positions, and like personally, like I wouldn't talk about other outside backs, but like I'd be looking at midfielders and talking to obviously to like Bundy or Robbie or Gary, and like in my head, I'm thinking, man, these boys all have a chance. And then I look across at the Scotland boys and I'm like, Sione's not even playing, and he's been like the best 12, the whole way leading into the Six Nations, then gets injured. I'm not even considering that. And then Slade and Lawrence, I know we did his Achilles recently. Like, I'm looking around and thinking who's going to be in there. But
the player pool's just massive, isn't it?
It's crazy, man. When you think, like obviously when you think about Scotland, you're like, okay, I need to beat this guy, this guy, this guy. Over here, I'm thinking, okay, I'm competing against Mac and, all the other wingers. And then now all of a sudden you're competing against all these other nations. And I'm like, am I as good as him? Am I able to? Am I able to do what he does? Does he bring something different to the game that I do? It's a crazy thought, but obviously something that you got to consider. Just put yourself in the right positions, and hopefully you get the nod.
I definitely agree with that taboo thing as well. I remember my missus always saying to me after maybe one of the Six Nations games, like, "Oh, you're playing quite well. Do you think you got a chance?" And I would always pie it away.
Yeah,
I'd
you're
be
like,
nah, like, I'm not. I'm not in. I'd like, what I mean. You try and say you sort of don't care, and then it comes closer and closer to it. And
you do care, but
you can't obviously betray that feeling that I am thinking about it a bit, and you, like you say, you do try and shift it to one side.
You do,
obviously the next tour is in Australia. How do you think the Lions would match up against them? I know Australia really struggled a few years ago, but that autumn internationals they started to look really good again.
I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have picked them to beat England. A lot of people thought that we were going to have a bit of a, it was going to be an easy ride for us against them. And, it's a different style of play. I think we really struggled. Our attack, which is normally for Ireland, is like our point of difference, because we see defences are so similar in the Northern Hemisphere. All of a sudden we came up against Australia, who actually sat off and let us like kind of play, and then we'd be taking the ball to the line too much, and they were just sitting off waiting for us to pick an option, and then all of a sudden we were getting swamped, slowing down our ruck. And I know they had Joe Schmidt at the helm, who he obviously coached Ireland for a very, very long time and understood what was going on and what we were trying to achieve with a lot of our plays. So, man, I hate hearing people write teams off. It happens all the time, and Australia are definitely going one way. Like they're on a one-way trajectory at the moment. They've got some freakish athletes coming through. When I saw Sua'ali'i jumping, you know, he's 6'5", and I read, weirdly enough, on Wikipedia, he was like an under-16 high school high jump champion. Like all of this, because I was wondering, like, why are they kicked him all the time? Then I see him in real life. He's 6'5" and jumps 6 feet in the air. I'm like, well,
what's that? Just some pre-game prep? Wikipedia and all the players you play against.
Well, was it? I don't know. Like, no, I needed to know what school he went to and things like that. And then all of a sudden it was like, he is a high jump champion. I was just like, I was just trying to figure out why they were kicking to him, and like came up on Wikipedia of all things. So no, they've got some excellent players. They've got some old heads who have been around a long time who will be targeting this Lions tour. And if you think about it from their perspective, you know, a lot of people in the Northern Hemisphere, and I don't listen to a lot of what other people who don't play the game of rugby, what they say about rugby, but they're saying the Lions tour is going to be a piece of piss for them. It's not the case. It's never the case. No test match ever is. Like, the team that you scout on from Monday to Friday could be completely different from the team that you play on Saturday. If you're 5% off, if you're off your game away from home with a crowd that's baying for blood and a ref who can be influenced by a crowd, I mean, that's only natural, you know. So it's going to be tough for the Lions boys to head over.
Just to jump on that, if you were to get on the Lions tour, do you think that would be one of the biggest challenges you face in your rugby career?
Yeah, like I was, I guess, quizzing you about it. Like, how does it change your mindset going into a game? And I guess as you get a little bit older, whether I'm playing for Leinster in the URC or Ireland in a Six Nations match, my preparation throughout the week is so similar. And I think I've got it down to a T now, where I'm just so conditioned from my Monday to Friday, making sure I cross my T's and dot my I's and get across the people that I need to for certain situations, understanding as a back three who their kickers are, what feet they kick off, what they try and do in certain areas of the pitch, whether they kick short or more contestable, or they kick longer, and what we're trying to do off
doing high jump.
Why are they kicking him? He's a high jump school champion. Like, all these little things, you know. And you know, if I was lucky enough to go on, I don't want to change too much of what I do from a Monday to Friday, because I know Saturday rugby, it's such a natural thing to us now. You don't need to change anything. You just need to make sure you go through the processes to put your body in the right place. So when Saturday comes around, it's instinctive. Doesn't matter if there's 40 people in a stadium or 40,000, 80,000.
Yeah,
that's it. Rugby's rugby.
More. Well, good luck in the summer, and hopefully you'll get on that tour, mate.
Man, thank you very much. Thank you.